the documentary proceeded and continued, he drank less and less and less and felt better and better and better. He went and had all his blood work done and his markers, and he was getting healthier and healthier and healthier. But here's the thing, right? Did he cut back? Did he actually change? In the end, he was very open and clear that that didn't happen. He actually went back to drinking the way that he used to. Why? Because the question, am I drinking too much, doesn't get to the root cause of the issue around alcohol and the system that we are entwined in. Because it's not about how much, it's about how and why you drink. It's one of the most Googled questions on alcohol. Am I drinking too much? But here's the truth. If you're asking that question, you already know the answer. The real issue isn't how much you're drinking, it's why. Hello everybody, my name is Davy. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who lives a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck. And I spend every waking moment of that life helping other people do the same, like right now, baby. Today, we are kicking off a new series called The Question, where I tackle common questions about alcohol that people type into Google with shaky fingers at 2 a.m. in the morning. And today, we're going to kick off with a big one. Am I drinking too much? Now, the standard approach to answering this question either falls into the category of scientific or societal. Scientifically, the research is pretty damning. It's pretty out there. It's pretty obvious. There is no safe amount of alcohol you can drink. Zero, nada, zilch. The World Health Organization states clearly that alcohol is a known carcinogen, and the idea of moderate drinking is nothing but a clever marketing spin, not medicine. But if that feels extreme for you, if you think like, okay, no alcohol, like that's a bit extreme, right? Then maybe you can look at your government health guidelines. So it doesn't matter what country you live in. I imagine your local health service or the people who run your health and wellness part of the government will tell you what they believe is the healthy limit to drink alcohol. Well, in the UK, where I'm from, the recommended limit is 14 units of alcohol a week. What does that mean? Well, if you're a beer drinker or a cider drinker or a lager drinker and you drink by the pint, like I used to when I was younger, that's 6 pints a week. 6 pints a week. Or if you're a wine drinker, that's 6 medium glasses of wine a week. 6 pints a week. Okay, if you're living in the UK right now and you're listening to this, you're probably laughing as you think of the 10 pints you're about to sink this Sunday afternoon, right? In the UK, the culture is to drink way, way, way more than the limit and not even think that you have a problem, right? But here's the thing when it comes to government guidelines, right? What does it actually mean if you're below the limit or above a limit? I know this is only one example, but it just springs to mind. Not recently, a couple of years ago, there was a program or a documentary, I think it was on BBC, from the broadcaster Adrian Childs. It was called Drinkers Like Me, where he tested himself against the government guidelines and found that he was drinking way too much, right? So Childs decided that he would try to reduce his drinking. I don't think he ever went like alcohol free as fuck, but he tried to reduce his drinking to find out what was going on. And as the documentary proceeded and continued, he drank less and less and less and felt better and better and better. He went and had all his blood work done and his markers, and he was getting healthier and healthier and healthier. But here's the thing, right? Did he cut back? Did he actually change? In the end, he was very open and clear that that didn't happen. He actually went back to drinking the way that he used to. Why? Because the question, am I drinking too much, doesn't get to the root cause of the issue around alcohol and the system that we are entwined in. Because it's not about how much, it's about how and why you drink. So we're going to take a little break. But before we do, I want you to think of a better question to sit with. Are you drinking above the line or are you drinking below the line? So, welcome back to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. We are talking about the big question: am I drinking too much? And before the break, I asked you to sit with a different question, didn't I? Are you drinking above the line or below the line? Let's talk about that line, okay? The Conscious Leadership Group, they introduced this idea, this framework, this concept that we use in the Strive method that every striver will be familiar with, and they'll be fed up about me talking about it constantly. It's from their great book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. And it's just a simple line. And what they say in the Conscious Leadership Group, right, in the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, is you have this line. And if you're above the line, if you're operating above the line, then you are open, you are curious, right? You are compassionate, you have access to your growth mindset, you are committed to learning, right? If you are below the line and you're behaving below the line, now you're closed, you're defensive, you're committed to being right, you're judgmental, right? You're in what is called victim consciousness. And when I integrated the concept of the line with internal family systems therapy, something clicked for me. I could see quite clearly that when I was above the line, I was actually in self energy. I had access to the 8 C's of self. I was creative, I was calm, connected, compassionate, curious. I can't remember the rest of them, right? When I was below the line, I was in parts energy. I was in victim consciousness. I was in my ego, my wounded inner child, right? This is where I was reactive. I was fearful, and I was seeking safety through approval or trying to control everything around me. I was living the outside in life versus the inside out life. Okay. So now let's revisit the question with this in mind. Am I drinking too much? Well, for me and strivers and people who take the strive method, if you're drinking below the line, so if you're below the line in past energy, if you're in victim consciousness and you're making a decision to drink alcohol from that space, you're drinking too much, because it means alcohol is being used as a crutch for your nervous system, not you making a conscious choice. What's the difference? We'll take my wife, Liza, for example. She drinks very rarely, maybe a couple of times a year. So because the fact that she drinks a couple of times a year, she hasn't got no problem with alcohol. She is not alcohol reliant, right? She's nearly 50 years of age. It hasn't happened. It's never going to happen. There's no way you can say that alcohol on her is a problem. She's just not alcohol reliant. She's not drinking from a wounded place. When she decides and chooses to drink alcohol, she's doing so consciously. She's doing so from a healthy place for her, right? Now, whether I agree with that or not, like in terms of whether I would do it, I wouldn't, right? Because I don't believe that any amount of alcohol is good for me. So there's no way I can ever drink it. And as an example, when I relapsed 3 years after I actually stopped drinking alcohol, it didn't take me long before I went back to below the line drinking. I actually, when I relapsed, I decided that I was going to drink from above the line, but I eventually fell below the line. And even that was a lie. Like, I started drinking for the need of approval. I thought that my wife, Liza, who met me at that time, would think that I was super boring if I didn't drink. So I drank. And it wasn't until she turned around and said to me one day, you know, you're a bit of a prick, you, when you're drinking. And my son, actually, when I ordered a bottle of wine with our dinner, said, Dad, I thought you said alcohol had no value. And I said, it doesn't, son. And he said, what are you drinking it for then? And I never drank again, like 15 years, right? So here's the thing: below the line drinking, it's when you're unconscious, right? When you are in your past energy. But there's a thing about below the line drinking as well that I want to draw attention to. And this is that sometimes it is really, really unconscious. Like, you are like on automatic pilot. You know, Seth Godin always says, people like us do things like this. I believe wholeheartedly that the reason I ended up being alcohol reliant is because people like us do things like this. I ended up believing that alcohol was nice, necessary, normal, natural, and noble. I drank it because everybody else did. I never questioned it, right? So if I walked into a bar, I bought a pint. When I came home and there was a football on, I bought cans. I wasn't thinking about it. This is below the line drinking. You're just not thinking about it. You just end up in the fridge pouring yourself a can of lager for no reason, right? This is the liquid lie dressed up as normal life. So here's the challenge I'm going to leave you with. Start tracking your drinking, not by quantity, right? Not by the limits set by your government, but by consciousness. Practice discernment. Ask yourself, am I choosing to drink from self? Am I making a conscious choice to drink here? Or am I running a pattern that has been running me? Because discernment is everything. Above the line or below the line. Only one of these paths leads to freedom. I'll leave you to work it out. Today's vow. Today, I will not drink from below the line. I will choose to pause, to breathe, and to check in. Am I reaching for the bottle from self or from victim consciousness and from fear? You do not need to count units. You need to count how many times you betray yourself in the name of comfort. And the truth is, even once is too many. Some reflections for you before I leave you. What is your line? Where does your drinking usually sit? Above the line or below the line? Maybe you've never asked that question before. Now's a good time to start doing it. And have you ever caught yourself drinking when you felt powerless, afraid, or unseen? Pause this episode and drop your thoughts on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you're listening. I'd love to hear from you. All right, that's all I have for today. If this episode made you think, help somebody else find it, rate and review it, and subscribe so you get the daily podcast on your doorstep every single day. And if you want to learn more about internal family systems, above the line, below the line drinking, all the razzmatazz we talk about here on a daily podcast, take the 6-month Strive Method workshop, which will help you become alcohol-free as fuck and live a self-led life. Check it out at www.thestrivemethod.com. Until tomorrow, remember, do not drink alcohol today if you're below the line. You're better than that. You can do it. Have confidence in yourself. I have confidence in you. Until tomorrow, much love and strive on, ladies and gentlemen.